the details that he provides about that adventure, the courage of those men who went from the port of New York in the middle of the journey, raised the flag designated by Miranda that today commonly represents Venezuela, together with the flag of the United States, is a testimony of a very revealing story. I want to apologize for not being there with you, but I'm here negotiating with the Chinese government, which makes negotiating with Venezuela a lot easier. So I apologize. I wanted to be there with Luis and Leocenis and Keith, but I'm sorry. So this book is not primarily a defense of the United States and an exaltation of Venezuela, but it's historical truth. It's not primarily a defense of the thesis of two nations that take advantage of each other commercially. One is an owner of oil and the other a buyer of energy. But the reality, but how they mutually admired and helped each other at very difficult times. So these pages, which I would hope you read, help us to recognize the primacy of diplomacy, dialogue, which Luis and the OAS always promote, and cooperation, explaining events chronologically, based on public documents, verifiable facts, and historical events. Everything else comes by itself. It's a rescue of the truth, buried by the enemies of the West. So at times, the reading is a vibrant and moving portrait of the impact and independence, an example of the American political system had on a group of human beings who only demanded more than the right of their lives and seek happiness, and were under the Spanish crown's yoke. So this book is not just a historical account. It's a political story. It tells the story of men and women who had to fight survive under the banners of repression and potential slogans that wanted to annihilate them. It's also a portrait of what that meant. What happened to those that dared to be defiant? To whom did they succumb? How did the U.S. support Venezuela? How many times did they help each other? Garcia's greatest legacy in this book is for both Venezuelans and Americans. And is that he collides head on, dramatically, with the acquired cultural inertia, questioning the mysticity which portrays the United States as an insatiable beast seeking energy and resources. The Latin American countries as a society resisting looting. Garcia dismantles his speech of the ideological enemies of America. This squares in the U.S. in honor of Francisco de Miranda, the cities and towns in honor of Simón Bolívar here in this land of George Washington. The American flag on Jose Antonio Perez's coffin, restorer of the Republic of Venezuela, the man who placed the first constitution of Venezuela, inspired by the Constitution of the United States, Miguel Peñas's land. All right, so American presidents went to Venezuela, and the ties of the two countries, the cultural ties, are strong. This shows a mutual affection between two sister countries. And this is how Garcia presents it as he goes into the Venezuela that in 1958 received a visitation of Vice President Richard Nixon. This is the one in 1961 that receives John F. Kennedy, along with his wife Jacqueline, making an official visit in 1978. And in 1978, Jimmy Carter sets foot in Caracas and is received by Carlos Andrés Pérez, the president, for CAP. 1990, George Bush arrives at Caracas. And in 1997, and I was there with President Clinton, he arrives in Caracas with his wife Hillary. Both are received by President Rafael Caldera. So why am I saying all this? Because right now, the relationship between the United States and Venezuela is troubled. We need mediators, like the OAS, like the Secretary General, like knowledgeable human beings like Keith Mines, like Leocenis. Now, Leocenis doesn't touch on the recent relationship, but at the same time, why we're here is that the relationship between the United States and Venezuela remain intact in the midst of a convulsive Latin America, where authoritarianism, left and right, was the majority. And even though there were disagreements, none damaged the friendly relationship between these two governments. Friendship that started in 1834 with Andrew Jackson's recognition of Venezuela's independence. I'm very sorry I can't be with you, but I told Leocenis that I love what he's doing, his mediation, his book, but I had to be here because I think it's important that there be dialogue and cooperation instead of always sanctions, instead of talking to each other in a negative way. A todos los venezolanos les mando un abrazo muy sincero. A todos los latinos que están ahí, a todos los americanos que están ahí, pero especialmente a Leocenis García, que ha tratado diariamente, every day, to make things better between